ultrasound in medicine, it has recommended to discontinue the terms partial and marginal, and it has defined placenta previa as placenta lying directly over the internal os. Its incidence is 1 in 200 pregnancies. Grades of placenta previa. According to the old classification, placenta previa was graded into 4 grades: grade 1, 2, 3, and 4. Grade 1 is when the lower edge of the placenta is inside the lower uterine segment. Grade 2 is when the lower edge of is reaching the internal os. In grade 3, placenta partially covers the cervix, and in grade 4, placenta completely covers the cervix. Grade 1 and 2 are now called minor placenta previa, and grade 3 and 4 are called major placenta previa. Placenta accreta spectrum. Placenta accreta spectrum is a spectrum disorder ranging from abnormally adherent to deeply invasive placental tissue. Placenta accreta spectrum is divided into 3: placenta accreta, which is abnormally adherent, which involves total placenta accreta involves all lobes, partial involves only 2 lobes, and focal involves a single lobe. In placenta accreta, the placenta attaches firmly to the uterine wall lining. In placenta increta, there is abnormal invasion. Placenta invades at least halfway through the uterine wall. And in placenta percreta, there is also abnormal invasion, and placenta invades through the uterine wall, sometimes into the bladder.
placenta accreta आपने बताया है
जी सर
इसमें वो तो हो गया आपने जो total partial focal
जी सर
उसके अलावा the way the placenta is adherent or invasive with the uterine wall, one is called placenta creta.
Yes sir.
Placenta creta is that in which the placenta is abnormally or densely adherent without the decidual layer
yes
between, because the myometrial and placental interface is obliterated in that.
Yes,
so it is densely adherent placenta.
Yes sir.
Second variety, so this classification, as you say, is not correct, not 1, 2, 3.
Right.
And if you have to do that sub-classification, then that should be A, B, C. That should not again be 1, 2, 3.
Right.
So placenta or abnormally adherent placenta can be placenta creta when it is only abnormally adherent, in creta when it invades the myometrium,
Yes.
and percreta when it invades whole of the myometrium and sometimes goes beyond that up to serosal level.
Yes.
And in the process, it may or may not necessarily that invades the bladder, it may invade the adjacent structures.
Yes.
So that is percreta when it involves the complete whole thickness of the myometrium. So it will be placenta accreta, just one without any numbering.
Yes.
And then that will be placenta creta would be number 1, in creta 2, percreta number 3.
Yes. This diagram also represents the placenta, its normal appearance, accreta, increta, and percreta. This is the FIGO classification.
अगर तुमने इतनी सारी ये तस्वीर लगाई हुई है तो उस तस्वीर को थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लेन भी करो ना, इतनी बड़ी तस्वीर है.
Yes sir.
मुझे तो पता ही नहीं चला आपने क्या बताया है यहाँ पे.
Yes sir, this diagram this shows that this is the normal placenta, with the second diagram shows the complete placenta previa.
आराम से चलो ताकि जो
Yes, sir.
इंफॉर्मेशन दे रहे हो वो
Yes sir.
इम्बाइब भी हो सके.
Ji sir. In the normal placenta is covering the internal os. This is called placenta. This is the normal placenta which is not covering the internal os. It is the fundal placenta in the first diagram. In the second diagram, the placenta previa, which is completely covering the internal os. And the third diagram, it shows the uterus endometrium, the normal endometrium, accreta, increta, and
normal endometrium,
normal placenta.
presentation.
Exactly. Normal presentation. Sir, accreta, increta, and percreta, which shows the invasion of the placenta. In the increta and percreta, and in accreta, it is only adherent to the decidua. FIGO classification, it is based on clinical and histological criteria, which grades it into grade 1, 2, and 3. In grade 1, there is abnormally adherent placenta, which is also called placenta adherenta or creta. In grade 2, abnormally invasive placenta, which is increta, and grade 3 is abnormally invasive placenta, which is percreta, which is further classified into grade 3A, B, and C. Grade 3A is limited to the uterine serosa. 3B involves a urinary bladder invasion, and 3C invasion of the other pelvic tissues and organs like broad ligament, vaginal wall, pelvic side wall, or any other organ with or without the invasion of the bladder. This diagram shows a FIGO classification of placenta accreta spectrum, which shows the normal placenta. The placenta accreta spectrum involves grade 1, 2, and 3, and abnormally invasive placenta involves FIGO grade 2 and grade 3, which involves increta and percreta. This diagram further shows further explains that in placenta accreta, the villi adhere superficially to the myometrium without interrupting the decidua. In placenta accreta, the villi penetrates deeply into the uterine myometrium down to serosa. And in placenta percreta, the villus tissue perforated through the entire uterine wall, and it may invade the bladder. Risk factors. Risk factors are placenta previa 5 to 10% or accreta in previous pregnancy, prior cesarean delivery, after one cesarean section 0.65, after 2 C-sections 1.5%, after 3 C-sections 2.2%, and after 4 C-sections 10%. Any other previous uterine surgery like hysterectomy or myomectomy, any uterine pathologies like adenomyosis, bicornuate uterus, submucosal fibroid, or Asherman syndrome. There is vigorous endometrial curettage, which results into Asherman syndrome, and artificial reproductive technologies and maternal smoking or advanced maternal age more than 35 years. Diagnosis. Diagnosis is based on ultrasound imaging, and we can also do MRI. TVS is more sensitive for diagnosis and superior to transabdominal or transperineal approaches, and it is safe to be done in placental spectrum disorders. Ultrasound imaging involves combined grayscale and color Doppler, and it has a sensitivity of 90% and specificity of 96%. In MRI, it actually tells us the depth of invasion, the lateral extension of the myometrial invasion, in especially posterior placental, in posterior placenta accreta, and in parametrial invasion. Ultrasound imaging. Ultrasound imaging involves transvaginal ultrasound, and it is basically done in mid-pregnancy anomaly scan, which is done at 18 plus 18 week 6 days and 21 week 6 days. And it show if the placenta is defined as low-lying placenta if it involves less than 20 millimeter, if it is less than 20 millimeter from the internal os, and placenta previa when it is covering the os. And if we have a low-lying placenta at our anomaly scan, we repeat it at 32 weeks for confirmation and at 36 weeks. Short cervical length. If at 32 weeks short cervical length is detected, it predicts the preterm birth and is a predictor of massive hemorrhage at the time of cesarean section. Normal placenta. In normal placenta on ultrasound, there is a retroplacental clear space, which is hypoequic. These are the dark gray areas which can be seen. This is a diagram of a normal placenta. The grayscale signs, which are basically detected on the ultrasound. These shows there is loss of clear zone. The hypoequic plane, it is basically not visible. There are abnormal placental lacunae, bladder wall interruption, myometrial thinning, which is less than 1 millimeter or undetectable, and a placental bulge, which actually shows a bulge which can be seen due to placental tissue in the bladder, and focal exophytic mass. The placental tissue is seen breaking through the uterine serosa and extending beyond it. This is a grayscale ultrasound image which shows the loss of retroplacental zone and abnormal placental lacunae. This is the bladder which is shown. 2D Doppler signs are uterozycal hypervascularity, subplacental hypervascularity, bridging vessels, placental lacunae feeder vessels, and 3D color Doppler signs are intraplacental hypervascularity. This is a Doppler ultrasound which shows the mouth eaten Swiss cheese appearance due to lacunae. These are the lacunae that are formed into the placenta. And there is hypervascularity, which can be shown on colored Doppler ultrasound, and obliteration of the clear space between the placenta and the uterine wall can be seen. Rail sign for placenta excreta spectrum. Rail sign is basically published. It was an article which was published in 2021 September, and it depicts a rail sign is depicted by the color Doppler, which shows the deeper villus invasion, and it shows the subplacental hypervascularity. It is 1, 2, 3, and 4. It is given the numbers, and 1 shows the subplacental hypervascularity, 2 shows uterozycal hypervascularity, 3 is actually showing the bridging vessels between the two, and 4 is showing the new vascularity of the bladder mucosa, formation of the new vessels. Clinical manifestation. The clinical manifestation is anemia and visible blood loss. On abdominal examination, there is soft, relaxed uterus and no tenderness, floating head, Stalwardy sign, which is actually the slowing of the fetal heart rate on pressing the head down the pelvis, and prompt recovery on release of the pressure, which is majorly it can be depicted in posterior placenta previa. There is vaginal bleeding, which is painless, causeless, recurrent, and there is sudden onset, and malpresentation, which the baby can be in transverse or breech presentation. The protocol for diagnosis and management. जी सर.
फॉन्ट बड़ा करना.
जी ठीक है
ये
सर.
इतना बारीक लिखा हुआ है. 24 से कम नहीं फॉन्ट होना चाहिए.
ठीक है सर.
तो रखा हुआ 12-14 से मेरा ख्याल.
जी सर वो छोटा हो गया. अच्छा. Protocol for diagnosis and management. The diagnosis is based on history and ultrasound. The counseling is very important, which should be done of the couple and the family members about the complications. The major complications are can be the bladder injury 7 to 48%, ureteric injury, placenta excreta spectrum overall. जी सर. जी सर. प्रीविया की तो सर डेफिनेशन थी खाली. प्लेसेंटा एक्रीटा स्पेक्ट्रम और सर आगे वैसा प्रीविया. The major complications are bladder injury, which is 7 to 48%, uterine injury 0 to 8%, 18%.
अगर आप ऊपर PAS भी लिख दो ना,
जी जी.
वो फिर पता चलता है कि आप
placenta excreta spectrum, exactly.
Those things which relate to PAS are not necessarily relevant for placenta previa.
Exactly. Yes, sir. So mainly it is on PAS and vasa previa, the presentation. And the sir, the bladder injury, which can be 7 to 48%, ureteric injury 0 to 18%, bowel injury 2 to 4%, and massive blood transfusions. We should be cross-matching at least 10 units of blood and arrangement of 4 units of FFPs.
Cross-match at least 10 units of blood. ये किसी किताब में लिखा हो?
Yes, sir. सर ये डॉक्टर रुबीना सुहेल की बुक से protocols. The median estimation of blood loss is 2 to 3 liters, and there can be need of ICU admission, which can be 15 to 66% in patients. There can be need of hysterectomy, need of general anesthesia, and need for further surgery. The consent form includes.
Need for general anesthesia complication.
Sir, in RCOG guideline, it was written that the spinal it can be done in local anesthesia.
ये तो counseling के points.
जी sir, counseling. Sir, counseling ही sir. उसमें counseling points में complications mention किए. The consent form should include the risk associated with cesarean section, risks associated with placenta previa and placenta excreta spectrum, massive obstetrical hemorrhage, risk of urinary tract damage, risk of bowel damage, and need of blood transfusion, and risk of hysterectomy.
ये आप consent form में ये क्या करना चाहते हैं? What is the objective of doing this?
Sir, we will tell the patient about all the risks associated with the procedure, and we will take a written and informed consent from the patient that these are the risks which will be associated in the procedure. And if we will need the blood transfusions, or if we will need the involvement of the surgeon or urologist, we will involve them at the time of surgery. Preoperative checklist. Ideally, the time of the cesarean section is if there is history of vaginal bleeding, there is late preterm. If there is history of vaginal bleeding at 34 to. Sorry, combine नहीं है. सर ये guideline में था. So there is time of cesarean section late preterm 34 to 36 plus 6 weeks and uncomplicated placenta previa 36 to 37 weeks. The hemoglobin should be at least 11 gram per deciliter and the baseline investigations should be done. Hematocrit, CBC, blood type, RH coagulation tests should be done. Antenatal steroid should be given at 34 weeks to 35 weeks, 35 plus 6 weeks. And counseling, consultation and consent should be done. Availability of the multidisciplinary team, which involves senior obstetrician, gynecologist, anesthetist, pediatrician, surgeon, and urologist, should be available. Minimum 10 units of cross-match blood and 4 FFPs should be available. ICU facility, neonatal care facility should be available. And pre-operative placental mapping and discussion about the type of incision and extent of surgery should be done. Surgical approach. According to guidelines, the regional analgesia is safe along with consent of the general anesthesia. Elective cesarean hysterectomy. Sorry, this is. No, sorry, इसमें थोड़ी सी mistake हो गई. Sir, elective cesarean hysterectomy is done, which involves a midline vertical skin and uterine incision to minimize the blood loss, and the time of hysterectomy should be minimized. Uterus preserving surgery or partial myometrial resection is also done. For women who desire the uterus preservation surgery, and only with the consent of the surgical team, if the placenta accreta is limited in depth and surface area, and there is no deep pelvic invasion. The role of the ureteric stents. When the urinary bladder is invaded by the placental tissue in placenta percreta, and there is a role of these stents, which has there is preoperative cystoscopy and placement of the ureteric stents is recommended. Placenta percreta, there is high risk of peripartum and secondary complications and need of secondary hysterectomy in case of uterus preserving surgery. Triple P procedure. Yes, sir. There is a risk of secondary hysterectomy if the patient bleeds later on, after the patient is post-operatively monitored.
Other primary surgery preserving uterus.
Yes, sir. Yes. Triple P procedure. This is a surgical technique which is approached when we are preserving the uterus. Perioperative ultrasound localization of the superior edge of the placenta is done. Pelvic devascularization is done. Perioperative placental placement of the intra-arterial balloon catheter is done, and placenta should not be entirely removed in this case.
Okay.
Sir, this is a triple P procedure. It is a uterus sparing procedure in which first we localize the placenta perioperatively on the ultrasound, and we do devascularization before the intra-arterial placement of the balloon catheter is done perioperatively.
Placenta should not be entirely removed. So, are you going to leave behind the placenta?
Yes, sir. Sir, it says that we do only myometrial excision. No attempt should be made to remove the entire placenta.
So you don't make attempt to remove the placenta.
Yes.
Entire placenta जब कहते हो तो इसका मतलब है कि कोई partial remove किया जा सकता है या कैसे? क्या मतलब क्या आप समझो इससे?
Sir, we will be doing only we will be removing the placenta which will be easily removed, and which will be deeply invaded. We will leave it. Sir, इसी तरह का. Sir,
मैं थोड़ा सा describe कर देता हूँ. इसमें the first is 3 P's is perioperative placental ultrasound localization, so that you identify the superior edge of the placenta, and the incision which will be made in the uterus will be above that, so that you do not disturb the placenta
Yes.
and deliver the baby from an NC and a little far away from the margin of the placenta. So there will be less amount of bleeding or uh, that disturbance. And then you identify pelvic devascularization or perioperative placement of intraarterial balloon catheter. So pelvic devascularization can be carried out by multiple methods. By, for example, by ligating bilateral ligation of anterior vein of internal iliac arteries,
Yes.
and also the larger blood vessels that you see, or partial kind of clamping of the infundibulopelvic ligaments because the blood comes from there also, and also you could clip the on the lateral side of the uterus the uterine artery uterine arteries as they run along the lateral wall of the uterus. So there are different methods of pelvic devascularization which can be employed. The other method is that you, during the operation or perioperative placement of intra-arterial balloon catheters, and they can be inflated when there is excessive bleeding. So to arrest, to limit the amount of bleeding at the time of procedure, these are the approaches that can be identified. Now, what in the typical that triple P procedure they describe, it doesn't actually start with placenta should not be entirely removed. It has non-removal of the placenta at the time of the procedure as such after removing after you deliver the baby, and then you identify the extent of the placenta and remove that part of the myometrium
Yes.
along with the
Yes.
placenta.
Yes.
Because if you partially remove that, there will be bleeding.
Yes.
So the placenta is removed in its entirety along with the
Right.
uterine wall. So should not be entirely removed is a little confusing
Right.
terminology. You must have found it somewhere.
Yes.
That's not your phraseology. But what it means is that placenta should not be, or no attempt should be made to remove part of the placenta.
Right.
So you will identify the margins of placenta. Superior margin you've already identified, and then you open the uterus, and then you know up to what extent the placenta has spread, or what are the boundaries of the placenta. So therefore, you remove that part of the myometrium, and even if it is extending into the bladder, some part of the posterior wall of the bladder may be opened, and part of the bladder wall can be excised with that, and then you reconstruct in double layers the uterus and the myometrium. That is done. There are various slight modifications of this procedure, but this is a procedure which was started in St. George's Hospital. You've so many times heard the name of Professor Arul Kumar.
Yes.
If you look at the reference of this triple P procedure, he is the one, and another Sri Lankan doctor, I forget his name. He has done a lot of work and initially published a series of 50 cases of triple P procedure. I've heard him present it himself in the Sri Lankan conference. So that is how they've done, and the figures of blood loss, urinary tract injury, and others, they are quite encouraging in this approach if it is carried out.
Placenta theta spectrum, right?
हाँ?
ये placenta theta spectrum के लिए
हाँ, उसके लिए ये सारी जो डिस्कशन है ज्यादा ये तो प्लेसेंटा एक्टिका स्पेक्ट्रम की है।
If placenta accreta spectrum is suspected during a cesarean section, we do not give the uterine incision. We wait for the senior registrar or consultant to arrive. If leaving the placenta in situ, there should be a regular review. Beta HCG should be done at day 1, 5, and 6 weeks. Ultrasound examination should be done at 6 weeks follow-up, including transvaginal scan.
ये दो बड़े important चीजें हैं,
जी
ये
सर।
दो different areas हैं।
Yes.
One is when you are doing a kind of emergency cesarean section, not suspecting
Yes.
PAS,
Yes.
and you come across that situation.
Yes.
So that is a subject in itself, and it should have one
Right.
part of the slide or a different
Yes.
slide altogether.
Right.
What you are saying in the third line, which is leaving placenta in situ, that is the management of what you would do in case of PAS.
Yes.
That will be a conservative approach of
Yes.
non-removal of the uterus. So
Yes.
these are something which do not fit together.
Right.
You see, they are
Yes.
different, and they should be placed in different parts
Yes.
of the slide if you are projecting it in one slide, so that the emphasis is clear.
Yes.
चलिए अगर आप now we haven't really talked about the conservative approach to management of PAS. By conservative approach, it means that when you are not or you haven't planned hysterectomy.
Yes.
So there are two broad approaches to PAS. One is in which you have already planned to remove the uterus. The other is in which you plan to uh, 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 conserve the uterus. So that would be conservative approach. And in those patients in whom you have, for example, someone who is having or has completed her family, that woman would be a good candidate for removal of the uterus, a planned hysterectomy, in which case you will deliver the baby from a site which is away from the placental margin to limit the bleeding, and then you carry out the hysterectomy without touching the placenta, without disturbing the placental side, and that would be attended with comparatively lesser amount of blood loss, and so to say, it will be a comparatively not such a dangerous procedure as such. On the other hand, in which you have to conserve the uterus, then whether you remove the placenta, you leave it inside in situ, or the third is, of course, like the triple P procedure, in which you remove that segment of the uterine wall which is having the placental attachment. So those are the three approaches that you would adopt in those cases in which there is the objective is to conserve the uterus. So one is that you deliver the baby from a site which is away from the placental margin, and you leave behind the placenta untouched.
Yes.
And you stitch up the uterus, close the abdomen, and but that is something which must be discussed with the patient before the surgery and in the counseling session, etc.
Yes.
और उसके बाद फिर आपने ये करना है जो आपका है कि आप you will undertake a regular review, and how you do that by all these measures, and then चलें बोलें हम.
Yes, if we are leaving the placenta in situ, the regular review should be the beta HCG level should be done at day 1, 5, and at 6 weeks. The ultrasound examination, TVS, should be done at 6 weeks follow-up to ensure the complete resorption of the placental tissue. And the patient should be observed for bleeding, infection. There are chances of sepsis, septic shock, peritonitis, and many other complications which are related to it. The methotrexate in the recent guidelines, it is not recommended due to its significant adverse effects. Contraception is advised if the uterus is conserved. The serious patient should be counseled about the tubal ligation before the procedure during the counseling session. Compression sutures. Compression sutures are applied if the uterus is preserved. These are for the placenta. These are the sutures is applied. The parallel vertical compression sutures. The suturing is done of the both anterior and posterior wall of the lower uterine segment, leaving the central part patent. And it requires adequate bladder dissection below the level of the internal os. Nausicaa compression sutures in the guideline which was published in BJOG in 2018. These are the compression sutures which are taken horizontally, penetrating full thickness of the myometrium without stitching anterior and the posterior wall together. And it is simple, effective, and alternate to hysterectomy. Its success rate is 97%. Post-operative management. Post-operatively, the patient patient's management is done. ICU admission is advised. Monitoring of vital sign CVP and urinary output, monitoring of blood loss and output from drains, fluid management in collaboration with anesthesia team, replace the blood loss with blood and FFPs. The pain relief should be done and counseling of the family should be done in detail about regarding the procedure and the further ICU stay of the patient and further management. Documentation should be done in detail. A detailed documentation of intake, output, events, intervention, and counseling should be done. This flow sheet, sir, ये guidelines है ये, it is the same which has already been discussed. जी sir. This is a flow diagram which shows the diagnosis and follow-up of placenta previa and placenta accreta spectrum. When the placenta is low-lying, so green top, 2018.
2018 वाले?
Yes, 2018. सर उसमें इसका भी है और सर उसमें जो अल्ट्रासाउंड इमेजिंग है ग्रे स्केल उसका भी एक टेबल है डिटेल में. If the placenta is low lying, less than 20 millimeter from the internal os, or placenta previa covering the os at 18 to 21 weeks, consider TVS. If there is posterior placenta, or we will do, or there is high BMI. In posterior placenta or anterior placenta with no previous cesarean section, ultrasound examination is done, including TVS if required, by experienced sonographer or clinician at 32 weeks of gestation. If there is asymptomatic placenta previa, steroids are given at 34 to 36 weeks of gestation and scan around 36 weeks of gestation. If still previa, for scheduled cesarean delivery, between 36 and 37 weeks of gestation is done. If there is recurrent bleeding in those with low-lying placenta or placenta previa, the steroids before 34 weeks of gestation, and if still previa, for scheduled cesarean delivery at 34 and 36 weeks of gestation according to clinical symptoms. If there is asymptomatic low-lying placenta, repeat ultrasound scan, including TVS if required, by experienced sonographer or clinician at 36 weeks of gestation. If still low-lying, for individualized decision around the delivery. Placenta is 20 millimeter or more from the os, no further ultrasound examination is required. If there is previous history of placenta accreta spectrum or an anterior placenta and previous cesarean section, ultrasound scan is done for PAS, and ultrasound signs are if they are suggesting of placenta accreta spectrum, refer to specialist center for multidisciplinary management. Vasa previa. Vasa previa is defined as the fetal vessels running through the free placental membranes within 2 centimeters of the cervix, unprotected by the placental tissue or Wharton's jelly of the umbilical cord. If there is spontaneous artificial rupture of membranes, this ruptures these vessels and cause fetal exsanguination, fetal hypoxia if the vessels are compressed between the baby and the birth canal. Its prevalence is 1 in 1200 to 1 in 5000 pregnancies, and the fetal mortality rate is 60% in undiagnosed cases. The total fetal blood volume at term is 80 to 100 ml per kilogram, and the loss of fetal blood at this time can be fatal to the baby. There are 2 types of vasa previa. Type 1, when the vessel is connected to a filamentous umbilical cord, fetal vessels unprotected by the Wharton's jelly traverse the membranes before they come together into the umbilical cord. And type 2 is there is normal cord insertion with vessels running between the placental lobes in bilobe or sexcenturate accessory lobe placenta. These are few diagrams. The first diagram shows the filamentous insertion of the cord, and this is a circumflex placenta is also a type, a further type of placenta. And the type 2 is there is a sexcenturate lobe in the twin placenta, and which can be seen, and the blood vessels are in between the sexcenturate lobe and the actual placenta. The lower diagram, it also shows the filamentous insertion of the cord. Symptoms. The symptoms are the sudden onset of painless vaginal bleeding, which is also called a Banks's hemorrhage. There is sudden onset of painless bleeding on artificial rupture of membrane. Heavy or small amount of bleeding is present. There are no signs and symptoms of placenta previa, and IUGR or congenital malformation of the baby is present. The diagnosis is based on palpation of the fetal vessels in the membranes at the time of vaginal examination. Transvaginal ultrasound is done and at the anomaly scan, and combined transvaginal and transabdominal color Doppler imaging is done to diagnose vasa previa. Diagnostic test is the apt test, which is alkali denaturation test. It is not routinely recommended due to the urgency of the urgent cesarean section in case of fetal bradycardia and fetal compromise. It is not done routinely. It is used in cases of vaginal bleeding in late pregnancy to determine if the bleeding is from the mother or the fetus. If the test is positive, it is blood from the fetal origin, which is pinkish in color, and in negative test, the blood from the maternal origin, which is yellowish brown color change of the alkali. Test is based on differences between maternal and fetal hemoglobin. Fetal hemoglobin is resistant to alkali sodium hydroxide denaturation, whereas adult hemoglobin is susceptible to alkali denaturation. Doppler scan to detect vasa previa. This shows the fetal head and the colored vessels which can be seen. Fetal vessels can be seen on the Doppler ultrasound. Major risk factors are there is low-lying placenta, placenta previa, multiple pregnancy, bilobe placenta, accentuate placental lobes, filamentous insertion, assisted reproductive technology, and history of uterine surgery or dilatation and curettage. If diagnosed prenatally, patient is advised bed rest. No vaginal examination should be done. Avoid heavy weight lifting and straining. The regular scans are done at 20 weeks, 32 weeks, and 36 weeks. Steroids are given at 32 weeks of gestation. Immediate delivery in the case of premature rupture of membranes or labor is advised. Elective cesarean section prior to onset of labor at 34 to 36 weeks of gestation in asymptomatic women is advised. And there is risk of fetal hemorrhage. Care of the newborn is done. There is presence of a senior pediatrician. Hemoglobin estimation of the newborn is done. Resuscitation and blood transfusion, if required, is done. Conclusion. Placenta previa, placenta accreta spectrum and vasa previa should not be a devastating complications of pregnancy. Goal should be to raise awareness and to adjust the medical rules and protocols worldwide such that the adverse maternal and fetal outcomes associated can be prevented. These are the major sources from Green Top Guideline number 27A and B and FIGO EPS classification and skills and protocols by Dr. Beena Sohail. Thank you, sir.
हेलो अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर।
वालेकुम अस्सलाम।
सर डॉक्टर आयशा बात कर रही हूँ।
हाँ जी।
सर एक क्वेश्चन पूछना है
जी।
सर प्री ऑप सीवीपी लाइन और ए लाइन के बारे में सर प्लीज थोड़ा सा बता दें कि वो हमने डलवानी होती हैं एनेस्थीसिया वालों से डिस्कस करके या वो एनेस्थीसिया वाले खुद अपने ऑन पे डालते हैं इंट्राऑपरेटिवली।
वो एनेस्थीसिया की रिस्पांसिबिलिटी है और जिन यूनिट्स में ये प्लेसेंटा एक्रीटा स्पेक्ट्रम के केसेस वो आजकल हर यूनिट में ही हो रहे हैं and I'm sure that most of the anesthesia colleagues are aware of the complications of this procedure and what measures to be adopted in these circumstances, and they do undertake and go through a checklist and undertake all these measures like CVP line, etc. So that if as in almost all of these cases, there is need for rapid blood transfusion in large amounts. So and obviously monitoring of the patients later on as well. So CVP line is something which if some anesthetists do not themselves volunteer to establish, is something which the obstetricians should suggest to them.
जी सर, थैंक यू सर।
डॉक्टर साहब भी आ गए हैं। डॉक्टर राशिद, अस्सलाम वालेकुम जी, आवाज आ रही है आपको? आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही। माइक अपना ऑन कर लें आप। हाँ जी,
अब आ रही है?
हाँ जी, अब आनी शुरू हो गई।
अच्छा, मैं तो ये मुझे पता ही नहीं था कि मैं इस तरह से पहले ज्वाइन कर सकता हूँ तुम्हारी क्लास। आई वुड लव टू लिसन टू यू। हाँ माशाल्लाह माशाल्लाह, वेरी गुड।
ये हमारी रेजिडेंट है जी, डॉक्टर ज़ारा समरी हैं, उन्होंने आज प्लेसेंटा एक्रीटस स्पेक्ट्रम के ऊपर उन्होंने प्रेजेंटेशन दी थी, मैंने तो कमेंट्स किए हैं दरमियान।
वेरी गुड। यू नो ये टीचिंग का फॉर्मेट कोई भी एक फिक्स नहीं है, रिजिड नहीं है।
हाँ,
It varies with the students, with the teacher, with the environment, with the facilities.
हाँ,
ये तीनों चारों मिलके एक फॉर्मेट इख्तियार करते हैं। वो that could be anyone, as long as the recipients, that is students, they feel benefited by it.
हाँ,
They are the beneficiaries. They feel they have gained something after spending that an hour or 45 minutes with the teacher. Is good enough. Good enough. It could be short essay questions. It could be MCQs. It could be subject prepared by all of you and then discussion, as it happened today. That actually the presentation was by the student.
This PAS is concerned, I would recommend to all the colleagues, for those who are preparing for examination and those also who have passed the examination. There is a series of 5 papers, not very long papers, which have been prepared by FIGO, and they were published in 2018 on placenta accreta spectrum. They look at the etiology, to some extent etiology, and then epidemiology and various approaches. One chapter is for non-conservative, which is preserving the uterus, and another, of course, is where it is pre-planned pregnancy. I would strongly recommend all the colleagues to download those. I'm sure that they are available, but if they are not, I can put them up, all those 5 chapters.
They are not free.
They are not free.
No,
I have all those 5. I
Yes,
can put it up in addition to the presentation that I was to put
Yes.
on WhatsApp last time.
Yes.
I'll do that. And another is Clinical Obstetrics and Gynecology is a journal which is published, and that also that's a longer kind of that has 8 to 9 chapters about this. But you can forget about that. Go on for this FIGO chapters, 5 chapters. They have maximum 8 pages, some 3 to 4 pages, and they give you a very good comprehensive overview of the background, the management, counseling, etc., and all latest approaches for BAS management.
Actually, they are not free. I was able to get only one from somebody.
अच्छा जी, तुझे
Thank you so
Gaurav
much.
ji, ma'am, I'll beg leave.
आज ब्लीडिंग की बात हो रही है, मैं भी ब्लीडिंग के मतलब की बात करूंगा, हैवी मेंस्ट्रुअल ब्लीडिंग।
अच्छा,
Thank you so much.
ओके फर्क, थैंक्स।
ये मुझे याद माना नहीं, मैं लोगों को देखूंगा।
Well, I hope you can hear me. तो
जी सर, आ रही है आपकी आवाज।
ठीक, थैंक यू। आज हमारा टॉपिक है हैवी मेंस्ट्रुअल ब्लीडिंग, और डॉक्टर हसीना ने कराची से प्रेजेंट करना है, लेकिन उससे पहले मैं 2-3 बातें आपसे कहता हूँ।